Just like I did, this survivor went from being polite and poised in her responses to this just erratic behavior to later ruminating, self-blaming, and overanalyzing the situation. Hey, survivor! Welcome to episode 132 of the Vibrant Survivor podcast. Today we're revisiting a pattern that so many trauma survivors know all too well. When toxic people disguise abuse as teasing. But first, let's self-regulate with a 4-4-8 breathing exercise. If you'd like. We'll inhale for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 8. And I invite you to focus on a time when you stayed grounded and dignified, even when you were disrespected. Ready? Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How does it feel to operate from a place of strength? Grab your notebook and pen, and let's dig in. Hey, Survivor. Welcome to the Vibrant Survivor podcast. Do you want to disconnect from a narcissistic or toxic situation and heal? Are you Googling how to identify a narcissist, narcissistic abuse, and boundaries? Are you feeling stressed and lonely while trying to avoid being sucked back in and lied to again? Hey, I'm Lesley. As a busy wife and mom, I fell for the lies and manipulations of narcissists. I wasted my time, talents, and money on users who kept moving the goalposts. I wanted real relationships and business opportunities and to enjoy life with my family. Instead, I struggled with anxiety, panic attacks, and insomnia, and I couldn't trust my body or anybody until I took a holistic approach to healing. In this podcast, you'll find tips for healthy living, trauma healing, and boundaries so that you'll have the freedom, confidence, and inner peace to respond, not react, after narcissistic abuse. Take a deep breath in, let it out slowly, and just relax. This time's for you. Recently, I told you about how I was disrespected by someone close to me during a trip to my hometown, and then later force-fed a teasing narrative. Check out episode 130 for more on that. Anyway, another survivor reached out about a similar experience at a grad party she recently attended. Where the elderly mother of the grad party hosts was repeatedly disrespecting her in front of the hosts and other relatives and just undercutting her self-worth. The elderly mother was talking smack about her hair, calling her a problem, physically disrupting her conversations with the host and other family members, and accusing her of, quote, talking too long. And then labeling a lot of these digs and just verbal attacks as teasing. You see a common thread here, survivor? I do. Just like I did, this survivor went from being polite and poised in her responses to this just erratic behavior to later ruminating, self-blaming, and overanalyzing the situation. Saying things like, but I don't understand. What did I do? And honestly, you will likely never know. Heck, the person who is doing the quote-unquote teasing probably doesn't even know. And this introverted survivor went so far as to do the math and determine that she had literally spent at the most maybe a full hour at this party. No more than that. So really wasn't even there long enough to create problems, but certainly was there long enough to be repeatedly disrespected and walk away just kind of with a scrunchy face, like, what was that? So why is this so triggering? I even felt some kind of way when she reached out and was telling me about it. You traveled a long way, took time out to support others. In this case, this survivor traveled halfway around the world. And in my case, I traveled halfway across the country. But still, the idea that you took time out to support other people and celebrate with them, connect with friends, have a good time, maybe handle some business, and other things. And it's like the teasing really feels more like emotional targeting. So let's talk about that a little bit more, because sometimes teasing can be a mask for narcissistic control. And in the Mending the Soul book and workbook, abuse is talked about as being more subtle or often being subtle and meant to distort your sense of reality and worth. And when you look at, say, things like the Healthy Brain book and the topic of chronic stress and your exposure to that, imagine if you're exposed to toxic stress due to like emotional invalidation, like on an ongoing basis or repeatedly, that can even increase your cortisol and affect your ability to focus, damage your memory, and create health conditions that can lead to, bigger problems in your overall health and well-being. And when you look at things like boundaries, teasing that causes hurt isn't playful. It's boundary crossing. Or Townsend and Cloud talk about how, it crosses your property lines, if you look at it that way. And you are responsible for your property and maintaining it, the upkeep, keeping it safe, secure. And when people are repeatedly crossing over onto your property and, creating damage or disrupting things, that's not okay. And that's kind of how this quote unquote teasing can play out. And it's almost like a form of emotional harassment that's dressed up as joking, fun, etc., but isn't necessarily landing. And someone who's insecure or jealous or has a past, is triggered by something about you, they may feel compelled to knock you down a couple pegs just so that they can feel better. Or they may be triggered by some social dynamics based on their past experience, which has nothing to do with you. Projection, hello? So just some things to keep in mind and to be looking out for. So some signs of toxic teasing could include things like, the repetitive nature of it being targeted or one-sided. It's like somebody's not laughing. Somebody else is getting some kind of pleasure or amusement or feeling better from doing it, but it's more one-sided. And it can happen in front of other people with the intent to humiliate or to knock somebody down a couple pegs. And this teaser, or the source of this quote-unquote teasing, can become defensive if you clap back. Also, you may feel confused, small, or even ashamed afterwards, and that's not okay. That's not an indicator of lighthearted fun, joking. And you may be told that you're too sensitive if you speak up or clap back, or you may just get invalidated Also, you may notice that there's not a sense of awareness or a reading of the room, if you will, or let alone an apology offered when the jokes, quote unquote, or teasing, quote unquote, aren't landing. And even after a while, when it becomes clear that one person's not participating. So what do you do when this happens? Stay composed and don't comply. You can be polite without co-signing on the narrative that's being pushed or the behavior that's happening. You can even use phrases like, interesting, I don't find that funny, and play it kind of deadpan, which can help to reinforce the message that, hey, this isn't funny and whatever you're doing, it's not landing. Also, keep in mind and remember not to internalize other people's behavior. If they are insecure, it's not your problem. And say, for example, with this grad party and the elderly mother, the survivor was privy to some information and insights about the elderly mother's past life. And when she really considered that, some of the behavior kind of made sense. Even though it wasn't okay, she could see where it was coming from and see where maybe some projection was happening. And that can be a powerful thing because then you get to decide how you're going to move forward. After the event, you can journal about what happened. You can talk to someone who you consider safe, whether it's a friend, a trusted family member, or a therapist or counselor. And you can reclaim your power by affirming your truth and decide, again, how you're going to navigate similar situations going forward. And that's where the magic happens. Remember that you did nothing wrong by showing up with kindness to support and celebrate others. And that toxic people often project their unresolved shame, jealousy, and behaviors onto you or others. And you're not necessarily too sensitive, and you can gut check yourself on that and work through that. Do some reflecting, ask a trusted person. But when you come to the knowledge and become more aware of who and what you're dealing with, you likely are looking at your part of it if you're self-reflecting and can become more self-aware and grow. So this is part of the process. And, being able to recognize when someone's quote unquote teasing or their behavior is hurtful and being able to acknowledge that and not participate or co-sign, that's a sign of growth. And you should celebrate that. And know that you don't have to tolerate disrespect from anybody, regardless of the nature of the relationship, to keep the peace. Remember, you showed up gracefully. They claim to tease, but truth prevails while the heart deceives. Thanks for tuning in, Survivor. You are worthy of respect. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey, Survivor, do you want to heal after narcissistic abuse? Come and join me in a closure coaching session. This is a 1-hour, one-on-one coaching call that's going to help you disconnect from dysfunction, create your own closure, and begin a long-lasting journey of healing, step by step. Head right now to closurecoachingsession.com. If this podcast has helped you understand who and what you're dealing with, sharpen your discernment, and move forward on your healing journey, share it with another survivor. Help me help others by leaving a review for the show. And let's connect on social. Take a screenshot, share it in your IG stories, find and tag me at The Vibrant Survivor, and I'll share your post too. I look forward to connecting with you on IG and seeing you back here. You're not alone and you're not crazy. Know who you're dealing with, know who you are. Take care, and I'll meet you back here next week. Bye-bye.